Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm André Ward, and you are listening to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to an all-new episode of the Theater Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Seals, and our guest today, André Ward, is someone who, no matter what, is always making me smile when I'm watching him on stage. As we learn in this episode, his natural love for life and infectious smile is something he uses to connect with his audiences as he carries this intention of love and connection through his characters he plays. Something cool that we touched on a few times is the fact that even though he's got a Broadway career about 25 years long, there's still new things he wants to try in order to grow, to learn, and even, to move outside his comfort zone, because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. You hear it all the time, so it's never too late to insert whatever you want to do. And André is just further proof of that. Also, last weekend was BroadwayCon here in New York City, and I was fortunate enough to see many of the podcast listeners in person. So for those of you who said hi, it was very nice to see many of you again and also meet some new faces. So as always, find me on social media, give a like, give a follow, a share, leave a rating for the podcast wherever you are listening now. And everyone, please enjoy this episode with André Ward.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today's guest is a seasoned Broadway actor with an impressive Broadway resume dating back for over, 24 years or so, beginning with Saturday Night Fever, followed by The Producers, Xanadu, Rock of Ages, Something Rotten, and Escape to Margaritaville. He's got 5 national tours under his belt, including performing as the leading player in Pippin, and tons of regional credits that, if I listed, would keep us here all day. His TV and film credits include Masters of None, Broad City, Elementary, and High Maintenance. He can currently be seen now as Toulouse-Lautrec in Moulin Rouge on the Broadway, which just celebrated their 5th anniversary. André Ward, welcome to the Theater Podcast.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You have such a beautiful smile, I have to say.
You're
grinning from ear to ear. We were chatting about House of the Dragon before we started recording, which I want to come back to later. But I saw you perform recently in the show, and the reason I brought up the smile and the personality and everything is just because I was wondering if that was part of the character you were putting on, but I think it's a lot more of you, of André, that you're bringing into Toulouse. He's such like this loving, caring guy who wants Christian to find love, who wants everybody to be happy. And like, I can tell that this is you. This is you bringing that on stage.
Yes, I think it's the parts of me that I can bring to a character always help with the authenticity of a character, and that part of Toulouse is definitely a part of me. His effervescence, his joy, the wanting the best for all, even if it's not the necessarily would be the best for him, right? Which is that's been fun to play with. But yeah, definitely infusing him with my joy has been really fun.
How long have you been? How long have you been Toulouse so far?
About 2.5 years now. I started on the road with the national tour for a year.
Right.
About a year, 10 months, 11 months. And then I moved to the Broadway company in February.
So you've seen a handful of Christians and a handful of Satines.
Yes,
and
yes.
Do you, I mean, I know the answer obviously is yes, but how does your performance change? How do you adapt to the different leads coming through like that?
Just reacting to what I am being given, like seeing what we are like together, what like the Bohemians are like together with this new configuration. And it changes with even every cover, the brilliant understudies that we have that go on. All of that dynamic always changes if I'm really present. And that's one of the glorious things about doing live theater is that I get the opportunity to be present.
Is there someone that does something so differently than the rest that you're like, I love how this person says this or does that line or interacts with me in this scene? Like looking back over all of them.
Well, I will say David Harris, who plays the Duke, we have done the show together since we started rehearsals in January 2022, and we were very quickly like bantering back and forth, the two of us. And the way in which he inhabits the Duke is quite brilliant. And the at times, if I'm stepping outside of Toulouse, I'm just like, the way he imbues the Duke with such humanity and a genuine pathos and like hurt sometimes, and why he's being deceived, and so it allows me to really to inhabit Toulouse and to be more present and the opposite of him.
Right.
So I mean, that's been really, really fun, and the fact that we trust each other enough to really go there, because we are friends.
That's cool. I love when bad guys play, or when actors play bad characters so authentically and so real.
Yes.
Because I mean, you can play, and there's no right or wrong here. I'm not saying I like one way or the other, but when you take like an animated villain, and it's got to be over the top, it's animation or whatever that is,
yes.
and then when you translate that to the stage, when there's a bad guy in real life, the bad guy wakes up in the morning wanting to do what they feel is right. They still feel like they're doing the right thing.
Yes,
so you have to
yes.
play that authentically and let the writing speak for itself.
Yeah.
So what you just said about him being hurt, of course he's going to be hurt. He's a controlling, misogynistic jerk, but he's genuinely hurt, and that's how he deals with it.
Yeah. That's been really fun to play with, and the different ways, you would think in 2.5 years, and the fact that we've been doing it together for 2.5 years consistently, that we would always have the same reactions to one another, but we don't. And it's really fun to see how we keep that alive, especially because we've been doing it together for the same amount of time. So that's been really fun, but it's been really cool to experience it with so many different actors. But it's always coming from, I say Christian, I base my character, quite frankly. I try to look at the text and like have the text give me the clues. And Christian says it right in the very beginning. They were like there were two knockabout vaudevillians escaped from the nearest asylum. That's how he describes Santiago and Lautrec.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to start there. That's where I start.
Well, good thing I escaped from an asylum. Yes. Oh, that's great. All right. So, speaking of your past, then let's go to back when you were a little kid. Where did you grow up? What got you into theater?
Oh, God. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, there's a place.
Yes. My grandparents, my grandfather specifically got to Las Vegas in 1941. So my family's been there a very long time, from when Las Vegas was just like basically like a couple of streets.
I just quickly Googled Hoover Dam built. So it's April 20th, 1931. So he came a decade after the Hoover Dam. Okay.
Yeah. I was I was talkative in class.
That's a good way to put it.
And when I was in fourth grade, I went to Catholic school, and my fourth grade teacher, Sister Regina Wojcinski, God rest her soul, came to my grandfather, who was the playground director at my school, much to my chagrin, and said, Andre's a delight, but very talkative in class, and we should maybe find a way for him to work out some of that excess energy. So they sent me, she suggested a children's theater company called Rainbow Company in Las Vegas, and I took my first acting class in fourth grade at Rainbow Company, and I did a show there when I was in high school, but I started there at Rainbow Company when I was in fourth grade.
Is that still around, Rainbow Company?
I don't know. I haven't been back to Vegas since. I think it is. I think it still exists in some way. And oddly enough, my teacher at Rainbow Company went to college with Mary Teston.
Small world.
Who I did Xanadu with. So it's like I always feel like whenever stuff like that happens, I'm always like, ooh, I'm in the flow of how I'm supposed to be going in life, which is really beautiful. But yeah, I think it might still exist.
So fourth grade, Fourth
Yeah.
grade, you're getting all your talkative energy out, and
Yes.
I mean, is this one of those things where you were attracted to the limelight, or just attracted to being other characters, like exploring yourself
I
and
was
other people?
attracted to being other characters. I played pretend so much when I was little. I mean, and my mother was a teenager when I was born, and so we both watched soap operas together. And I used to pretend to be soap opera characters. I used to write my own soap operas when I was in school. Yeah, I really was attracted to being different characters. But I never played house when I was little. I always played New York City apartment.
So you got a
I used to
cardboard box and ran into all the walls.
Well, the only thing I knew about New York was the Jeffersons.
Oh, right.
So they had a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Right.
So I would play high rise
I love that.
and pretend that I was coming home from different auditions. And even though I had no clue what any of that really was, but that's what I wanted to do. And so in so many ways, I'm living in the midst of my dream.
Did you
my
get all the
childhood
auditions, or were you coming home dejected and sad? Because
I was just coming home saying what I was usually like, oh, I just got this audition, and I think it went really well, but I don't know. Like I never really got anything or didn't.
your job was just being a professional auditioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so do you remember though the moment? Was there a touchstone moment, or was it always just there when you decided this is what I have to do with my life?
That's a really good question. There was always something that was like, when my grandmother heard me singing in my room as a little boy and made me sing in church, there was always something I wanted to perform. I knew I wanted to perform some way, somehow. But it wasn't until probably maybe I feel like I saw Dreamgirls on the Tonys when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I can do this. There's a place where I can do this, and people, like me do it. Because before that was really only television. So yeah, I felt like I could do this on stage and Broadway. I didn't really know what Broadway was. That was one of the times. Dreamgirls is 1982, 81.
So if you're, I guess you're doing theater, and you didn't know what Broadway was. I guess that's interesting. I'm trying to think back to when I was a kid, because there has to be a point. My parents also did not say, this is Broadway, here's the Tony Awards.
Yeah.
They just put me in chorus because I like to sing. And I'm trying to remember the path that you turn one corner and then another corner in your social circles, and all of a sudden you realize,
Yeah.
oh, that's where the quote unquote pinnacle is. That's where
Yeah.
you're supposed to go to, we'll put in air quotes, make it.
Yes.
And I can't remember when that happened or how it happened for me. Do you have any recollection on your side? Because you saw the Tonys, but what even got you watching the Tonys?
Well, I always loved. I mean, I came from a family of gospel singers and church singers and preachers. So entertainment in that way was always sort of in my spirit, in my soul. And so if there was a musical number on any TV show, it like stopped me. So the Tony Awards with musicals, I would always try and watch if it was on, and I could watch it. But I'm thinking now, and I was like, my sophomore year in high school, Nevada started doing these all-city productions where every high school would audition for one production. And my sophomore year, it was a chorus line. And so every high school from around the city would audition. And I got Richie. And I remember the director of that show talking about New York and talking about Broadway. And that's when I really thought, oh, maybe this is something I could do. And started hearing more about Broadway and people on Broadway. And then I kept doing, and high school is really where I started doing musicals. And I did my first real play. So probably that all city production of A Chorus Line, and I still have one of my very closest friends was Cassie in that production, and she lives here in New York. She went to NYU, and I'm in
Wow.
New York, and we're still friends all these years later.
You make such good friends doing this kind of thing, and
Yes.
and I mean it's a form of. I used to say trauma, but I don't think that's the right word anymore because it's the shared experience. It's a very intense shared experience, and if the cast if something's going wrong or you can't get past something, or even if the director is not so great or something's not so great, it's like having a shared enemy or a shared goal brings people together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you form these bonds and these relationships that can't be broken over time.
Yeah.
And you pop back in. I guess it is a really small world, like you're talking about, of having the 1 degree of separation from Mary Testa and then being
Yeah.
in the show with her, right?
Yes.
Like everybody starts somewhere and then everybody comes back together and then they go apart and then they come together.
Yeah.
And you could be going back to Vegas to do a regional production that with all your friends out here from New York.
Yes. Yes. Most definitely.
So
I mean, it was a lovely full circle moment to have my last city on the national tour of Moulin Rouge be Las Vegas. It was the final city before I came to Broadway, so my whole family got to see me in the show, and some of my family members had never even seen me on stage. So
Really?
so it was really a beautiful moment.
was that kind of a full circle moment for you, or
Most definitely.
Yeah?
Most definitely. Because my family always knew pretty early on that I wanted to perform. But I think for some of my family members, they just didn't know exactly what it is. I did. And because I didn't pursue a gospel, that was at the time the most celebrated thing that I could do. And they're like, oh, he's actually making a living doing this. And he does a pretty good job. So we're happy to see him do it.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. We've had some TV credits too, so people are like, "Oh, I saw you on the telly."
Yes. That has been a gift that I didn't know because I didn't live in Los Angeles. And when I first came to New York, it was like, okay, if you're in New York, you want to do stage. And if you're in LA, you want to do television or and film. And when they started to pick up the more television and film here in New York, and I started to audition, I was like, oh, this is something I can do as well. And it's not a discipline because I've been doing theater so much longer that I have any mastery over at all. So it still is, as well as theater, a beautiful learning process for me.
That's interesting. So you've been professionally performing on Broadway for 24, 25 years, and then TV is still kind of like this uncharted territory, I guess. Is that the right way to go?
Yeah, I think so. I've been doing theater, I did my first Broadway show in 1999. Haha, that's how old I am. And
When you were 2 years old.
wait, that's right. I started doing television in 2005, I believe, is my first New York credit, when I got my SAG card and all those things. But I was making a living doing strictly television and film for about 5 years. And it was like, oh, this is something I could actually do. Oh, okay. And I got a chance to really learn because I did the reboot of Murphy Brown for that first season, and I did Pose for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And so I got to really watch people, watch how people work, watch how different people work, watch how different directors direct, and really learn over the course of a season or 2 seasons, how to approach a little bit better, for me, film and television acting.
It's all just so subtle, and that's something that I had always struggled with too when I was kind of bouncing between the two worlds. Was I have to remind myself that you don't have to be gigantic, because film is like right there, and you can just get up, you can just literally just have your inner monologue and talk to yourself out loud, right?
Yes,
you don't need to project to the back of the house.
Absolutely, that was a difficult thing for me, most definitely, and because I can be a larger than life person.
So dream role, TV wise, House of the Dragon? You want to be?
Oh, wouldn't that be? Oh, I mean, I've always said I want to be a fantasy, sci-fi character, villain. Yeah, that's always been something that has appealed to me. It's not something that people normally see me as.
Right.
But yeah, but I love intrigue. I love the palace intrigue. I love the fantasy elements of it. It just is.
Like the period piece kind of
Yes. Yeah.
What is the difference? Someone was trying to explain the difference to me between like a Harry Potter genre and Game of Thrones genre. They're both sci-fi, but they're distinctly different types. One is like the fantasy, like what is it? That Harry Potter's not fantasy. It's, or maybe it is, and the other one wasn't. I can't remember.
I mean, Harry Potter's definitely. I feel it's just my opinion. I mean, it's fantasy. But Game of Thrones and that Game of Thrones House of the Dragon is definitely adult, very, very adult, and it's sort of. I sort of think it's like Succession with dragons, because they're vying for the throne. They're vying for the top spot. But it's also got dragons. So it's for me Succession with dragons.
It's the corporate world with dragons.
Yes,
you are
yes.
absolutely right. I have never put that together, but you are 100% right. That is just the same story told in a different universe.
Yes.
I love that. So in a different universe for you then, would you be a gospel singer? You like these transitions, by the way? Would you be a gospel singer? Would you be a director? What do you think you would be doing?
Oh, yeah. Directing.
Really?
It's something that still scares me, I will say. And it's something I honestly have never, I don't know if, tell the truth, shame the devil. I'm like, I don't think I've ever talked about this before, because when I was in college, I had several people and teachers come to me and say, you have an eye for directing.
Huh.
And I think it's something you should pursue. And I just was not ready or confident enough to do it. And I ended up like co-directing production, took a directing class, but it was something that was scary to me.
I think that's a sign that you should try it.
I know. As I'm speaking it, I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this, because it's one of those things that's gonna now come up.
All right. Well, let's turn off the recording. Okay, just you and me here.
Okay.
What is it? Why are you scared of directing? What is it about that?
The handling of people, personalities, the fact that the buck stops with the director, the control, and me being, I would say it's like I'm the ultimate Libra, wanting everyone to get along and coexist. Oh, really?
October, yeah, that's me.
So I think that is the thing. I mean, as I grow older, I don't care about that as much, everybody's opinion of me, because at this age, people have opinions of me, good and bad, and that's okay. I can't change that. Because I've seen like our Alex Timbers, our associate director, Maddie DiCarlo, handle people so well. And that is a huge part, especially of doing big productions, is of handling is, I think, is a poor word. Taking into consideration all people and navigating different personalities. That gives me anxiety.
Navigating personalities, yeah.
Because there is I was just talking to someone else about this not that long ago, but when something beautiful is birthed on stage, or I don't know as well about film because it's not something I do all the time, but especially on stage, when something is birthed to be so beautiful on stage, that comes sometimes with a beautiful tension. Because sometimes when everything is perfect and everybody gets along and, all is great and, we just had the best time, and then it's birthed and everybody's like, okay, that's nothing special.
It's kind of bland.
It's like sort of beige. But sometimes they're with a beautiful, it's a corny phrase, diamond, it had to be pressured from this, what is it, coal or what have you. But there is a beautiful tension that comes with birthing something beautiful, with birthing something spectacular, with birthing something special. Not everybody gets along all the time. Not everybody's getting their way all the time. But in that tension is beauty. I've definitely been in things where things have it definitely been, off the rails and not fun, and that's not birthed a great thing. But there's a middle ground, this beautiful tense.
Yeah, I can see that, because when there's tensions, when everything's not going how it should be, everyone's forced to think outside the box and to find alternate solutions. And when everything's going the right way, even if it's great, there still might be something that's even that much better that you're not looking for, because everything's just fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I completely agree with you. Yeah, a little bit of tension goes a long way.
Yes, a little bit of tension goes a long way. Yes, thank you. That's what I'm gonna have in my head now.
There you go. Well, you need to direct. That's your new resolution. We're in the middle of the year, but you could have a new resolution today. Why not?
Yes.
So direct. Do you write too, or do you like to take existing material?
This is also something that I don't know if I've ever talked about.
Here we go.
Publicly. I am a storyteller. I love to tell stories. Anybody that has ever worked with me knows, it's like, oh, Andre stories. Oh, you have an Andre story or what have you. And my agents and managers have always encouraged me to write. And that's also something that scares me, because that's something that is literally like your baby that you're putting into the world. It's also, something that scares me, something that has scared me, continues to scare me a bit. And I have a friend, one of my besties, we'll be on the phone or we'll be talking about something, and I'll say something. He goes, oh, and he has a notepad that we share on the phone, and he just write down, that's a line, it's an Andre line, that's going to go in your pilot at some point. And he just has this, it's been going on for a couple of years, all of these bullet points and things that he wants us to collaborate on.
Well, you have this focus on fantasy and this focus on alternate reality, and in writing and directing. I mean, I think the writing's kind of on the wall here. You need to figure out, you already know your story. It's just the quest for power with some castles. Just figure out your characters.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, my goodness. We're figuring it out right now.
That's it. We're workshopping it. Yeah. Okay, so there's Steve. What's Steve? Steve's the bad guy. He thinks he's doing really good, but everything he does turns to crap. There you go. That's Steve.
That's it, Steve.
Damn it, Steve. Always messing things up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you prefer comedy or drama, or are you like, I guess just genuine characters? Because taking it back to Moulin Rouge a little bit, like Toulouse-Lautrec is very, like you said, he's very just, he cares. He's got a big heart. This character has a big heart, and I think that, and after talking
wears
with you,
it on the outside of his body, basically.
Yeah, and so do you. I think
Yeah, I definitely can do that. And the thing that was so fun and new for me about Toulouse-Lautrec is that I got a chance to be funny, which people know that I can do. Because I've been doing it in a lot of ways around New York for a while, but not very many people knew that I could be grounded and emotional, and it's given me a chance to play the breadth of that with Lautrec, which has been great. And I'm so grateful to Saw for creating such a beautiful character for me to inhabit, and with that's been the thing also about Moulin Rouge, the musical, is that they've given such a beautiful, beautiful frame with which all of us to work. We are not required to repeat anyone else's performance. And that has been such a gift for all of us to find our way. I mean, I shouldn't speak for anybody else. I'm going to speak for myself. For me to find my way in the show through the storyline and through all the different actors who come in and play the roles. Because we're all, I am reacting to all the other beautiful energies that are on the stage. And that's a gift. Not every actor in a long running show gets that gift.
How do you feel getting to watch the opening number marathon 8 times a week?
It's pretty amazing.
Right.
And what the dancers and Ziedler, quite frankly, have to do is like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro every day. I continually marvel at it. The first time I saw it, before I even thought about ever being in it, I just thought, I cannot believe, because I had a lot of friends in the original company, and I just said, I cannot believe you do this every day.
They're kicking their faces off, and
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God.
And on a passerelle that is, a few feet wide.
yeah, it is held up. The show is held up, and I mean, you just hit 5 years for a reason.
Yes,
because it's
so grateful.
At the core of this, talk about story, right? At the core of this, it is just a Romeo and Juliet love story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it's a
really
star-crossed
is.
lovers kind of love story, and I just love that something like this existed in the first place, right? The original Baz Luhrmann
Yes.
movie. You're talking about
Yes.
you said this a while ago, that in movies and musical numbers would always get you to stop and do this, and
Yeah.
something about that watching adults show other adults they can sing and dance and take it seriously and be okay with it, right?
Yeah.
Like as a kid, I was watching the VHS versions of Singing in the Rain, Music Man, and West Side Story.
Oh,
I
wow.
wore those out.
Yes.
And then there were things like Moulin Rouge that came out, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor, I think The Island had come out previously. I can't remember. Right, with ScarJo.
Yes.
And
Yes.
anyway, I was a fan of Ewan, and then I was like, oh, this dude can sing. So wait, you can be a real TV, put in quotes, real successful
Yes.
TV film actor, but you can also be a singer too? Like this sort of just opened up this whole new realm for me. And so taking that and adapting it got me focused, then adapting it into this musical number, this Broadway number with integrating modern pop songs. It just kind of folds it all back together so that it hits young folks, it hits older folks, it hits people who like love stories, it hits people who like musicals. It's sort of like this little perfect combination of just chef's kiss.
Yes. Yes. It is. It really is for everyone. I mean, he says it in the show. Yeah, everyone is welcome here.
Mm-hmm.
and it's so true. And I have felt that from the moment we started rehearsals. I mean, for me, this is the part of a lifetime and the show of a lifetime for me. It's been really
One
such
of
a
the
beautiful-
things before this was cool, and I say this only half jokingly, is seeing representation on stage in terms of body
Yeah.
types and body color.
Yes.
Because you have everybody in Moulin Rouge,
Yes.
and that's one of the things that
So
I
true.
always enjoy about watching that show is
Yeah.
you've got all different types of can-can dancers and all different sizes of can-can dancers and colors of actors and
Yes.
colors of everybody, and like really Ziedler does say everyone is welcome here, because at the core
Yeah.
of it, what is it? It's a love story, and everybody freaking deserves the love. Full stop.
Yes. Yes, it's so beautiful, and you're right. It's before it was sort of popular. I think at the forefront of making that statement.
Mm-hmm.
If there, and without it being just is, it just is.
Yeah.
It just everybody just is welcome.
Yes, it's not a plot point
And
to
that's
be
all
like
need
that
to be
person's
said.
a
No.
different size than that person, or that person looks different.
No.
It literally just is,
And
and that's
it
it.
just is, and that's the beauty. Yeah.
And everyone cares for each other. Everyone, no one wants the teen to be sick, and everyone wants everyone to be happy, except the Duke.
Yeah.
Everyone hates the Duke. The Duke's a jerk. The Duke. What a jerk. Okay. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. As we start to wrap up, I want to play a little game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're going to do plot in 60 seconds. So, plot in 60 seconds. You're going to give me a number.
Okay.
And that is going to correspond
Oh.
to a list of modern musicals I have. Moulin Rouge is one of them, so you may get to pick your own show.
Okay.
Then you have to give me the plot
Okay.
to that in 60 seconds.
Oh gosh. Oh, I am not okay. Yep. This is
And if you don't know it, totally fine.
okay. Wait, what is and
So give me a number
you're giving
1
me a number
through 13.
under 13.
That corresponds to my list of shows.
I'll say 11.
That is Beauty and the Beast. Go.
60 seconds remaining.
Oh, yes. This lovely lovely woman, Belle, she likes to read. She wants more for her life than her
45
little
seconds
town,
remaining.
this quiet village. But this man just wants to push up on her. Gaston, he's like the Duke, actually.
Yep.
And she meets this.
30
Does he
seconds
capture
remaining.
her? She goes looking for him. Child, I can't remember. Oh my gosh. She goes to the castle, finds this beast, and she helps him find himself through, is it through books?
15
And she
seconds
meets all
remaining.
these, she meets all the people, they're not people yet. They're in a closet, 9-8. She falls in love with him. He falls in love with her, turns back into the prince,
5,
and everybody gets to be people
3,
again, no longer cups. Okay.
A couple major plot points forgotten, like the fact that they're all inanimate objects. You know, whatever. But I'd see that. I'd see that show. Good job. All right. So the 3 standard closing questions then.
Oh my gosh.
That was good. Take a moment.
Oh my God. I gotta can't. All right. Okay.
All right.
I'm
3
back.
standard closing
Thank you.
questions then. The first one just simply is what motivates you.
Oh, motivates me. That sounds so corny, but just joy and love, caring for people motivates me. Continuing to want to find that this is real. This is for really real. Wanting to continue to look and find work-life balance, you know, because when I was young, all I thought about was my career. It's all I thought about. And as I grow older, I continue to be, well, first of all, because I do a profession that requires life. And the older I get, the more I realize that if I don't have a life, what can I give to my work? Because my work is about authenticating life. So I want to continue to strive for a work-life balance because I can't have the work if I don't have a life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I'm continuing to want to live life
Beautiful. All right.
and experiences.
Next question then. What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Oh, gosh. Don't take your work seriously, but not yourself so seriously. And some of the best advice given to me, this woman said to me, Andre, have you done your work? I said, I have. This was about an audition. And she said, okay, that's great. So if you've done your work, then if that is your job, there is nothing you can do wrong. But if that is not your job, there is nothing you can do right. So go in, do your best, and let it go.
I love that. That's great. All right. So the last question. This is the hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. This is real. Okay, you're not incorrect. That's really hard. I could only see one show. That's really tough. Oh my God. Like for whatever reason, Sunday in the Park with George came into my head just really quickly. It's because it's the thing that I came home from doing my first year of summer stock and everybody was talking about Sunday in the Park with George for some reason. And I had never seen it because I was all of 17 and didn't really know Stephen Sondheim. And it was on PBS. And I remember putting a chair so close to the TV that I was almost pressed up against the screen. And I sat there for 3 hours, basically, absolutely mesmerized. And that's when I was like, oh, this is something. And if ever I'm in a YouTube hole and that Dot's Lament comes up, Finishing the Hat comes up, Move On comes up, I always watch it. always watch it.
Yep, that's a good one. You are not alone. That has been given quite a bit on this podcast. All right. Where can we connect with you online? Do you do social media?
Oh, also somewhere where I'm not great. I do. You can find me on Instagram at the André Ward with my whole 30 posts, but I am there.
And then soon you will be making your writing directorial debut in fantasy.
Yes.
All of those,
Yes.
all of those things. Dude, please give it a shot. And you're not growing if you're not out of your comfort zone. You know that. Everyone should follow.
Yes, I do. Thank you for that. And now I've given that to the world. So, okay.
You put it out there, Oprah style. It's out there in the universe.
I did.
All right.
Yes,
you can get more
is.
of me at theater_podcast on Threads, Instagram, TikTok. Leave a rating and a review wherever you're listening. The music right now is by Jukebox the Ghost, and the conversation is by André Ward. Thank you so much. I've had such a great time getting to know you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.